We've all seen The Lion King, right? It's a cute, happy kids movie about lions, family, and redemption or some shit. So the movie starts, Mufasa is the king of the savannah. I think that's what, it's a savannah, right? It's a king of the African landscape, whatever. And as seen in the opening sequence of the film, literally all the other animals of the savannah come around, they gather, and they bow to their king and his newborn son. And of course, Simba grows up to take the throne and then become the new king. And, you know, hence the name Lion King, right? But has anyone actually asked why there even is a Lion King? I mean, these sorts of government systems don't just happen naturally, right? There was action taking place in order to form this society, in order to form these hierarchical structures. I mean, as we've established, this is a society of some form. I mean, all of the animals are clearly bowing to Mufasa. They recognize his power as their leader, as their king. And I mean, he is the Lion King. He's not like the lion president or the lion prime minister or the lion democratically elected official. He's a king. That's what he is. And if he's the king, then that means Mufasa must have taken the throne by means of force, which would mean that this whole system, this whole thing is... hold on a second.
It's feudalism.
Sorry about that. Where was I? It's feudalism. I mean, I think it's safe to say that Mufasa didn't just show up and was like, oh, I'm your king now, and everybody was cool with it. You know, I mean, he had to have asserted his dominance and created his monarchy through like a tirade of violence and slaughter. Mufasa and his lions definitely killed a ton of animals. He must have murdered a lot of animals to get to the throne and create his monarchy. That's how most monarchies are formed, through acts of war and conquest. I mean, these animals that are bowing to him, they're not bowing out of respect, they're bowing out of fear. The fear that if they step out of line at all, they would be struck down and executed in front of everyone at Pride Rock. Mufasa rules with an iron fist. All right, let me try to put this into a visual for you guys, right? So, hold on. Okay, so here's how it went down, right? All the animals exist in relative peace around the watering hole, living their lives, you know, getting hydrated, what you do as an animal living on the savannah. But then Mufasa shows up, right? There he is. Mufasa shows up with his elite team of lion warriors, and he stakes his claim and he says he will be king, this is my throne, right? I mean, the other animals aren't likely to just go along with this, so they stand up and they say, no, this is our watering hole. And then Mufasa proceeds with his elite kill squad to execute any animal that stands in his way of taking the throne, right? They're dead, they're gone. I mean, once his opposition is gone and his adversaries are slaughtered, the other animals have nothing to do but just surrender and agree to his terms. So from there, Mufasa just rearranges the entire watering hole hierarchy and puts in his own system of feudalism to rule over the land. I mean, hold on. Okay, so as you can see,
it's feudalism.
So from there, Mufasa places himself at the top of the hierarchy as the king, followed by his lords and his other lions as his knights. The rest of the animals serve as the peasantry, okay? Mufasa's lords advise him, the knights keep the peasantry in line. It's simple as that. Feudalism, clear as day, ladies and gentlemen, okay? The Lion King is feudalism. From there, right, he's able to enact any decree that he would like because he has full control over the watering hole, which dictates the life of the entirety of the savannah. So he starts setting mandates. Mandates like mandatory sacrifice. Yeah, I mean, just think about how the lions eat. I mean, they're not vegetarian, obviously, so how do they survive? Which means that Mufasa must have set some sort of rule that the animal clans would have to sacrifice one of their own basically on a daily basis to the lion cabal in order to keep the lions happy and fed. They didn't talk about this in the movie for children, okay? Children. I mean, you don't really see bones in the cave on Pride Rock until Scar takes control, but that doesn't mean they weren't doing it, okay? I mean, look at the elephant graveyard that Simba tries to explore, okay? Those are the remains, obviously, of all of the animals sacrificed to Mufasa's rule. I mean, Scar was a villain. We all know this. But Mufasa was a monster. Scar had evil intentions, but at least it was straight up. Everybody knew that. Mufasa put on a friendly face in order to rule over his enslaved masses. Behind that, guys, he's just as bad, if not worse, than Scar ever was. Like, this is feudalism, plain as day. Right in a Disney children's film. It's not even the bad guy, it's the good guys are the system. I mean, this is basically encouraging your children to go out and conquer a piece of land and a group of people and then rule over them as a tyrant. Like, do you want that? Do you want your kids to do that? How do I, E or the U first? Feudalism, ladies and gentlemen. Feudalism. I mean, you can at least see where I'm coming from, right? So now over the course of the film, there's betrayal amongst the lions. Scar commits regicide, takes Mufasa out, caps him, right? Simba runs away to the jungle, Scar takes control, takes power, right? But for the everyday animal peasantry, nothing's really changed. With Scar as the king, the only difference is that the ruler is now openly evil instead of just hiding behind the veil of respect and esteem. I mean, they still have to sacrifice their families, they still live in fear, they still live in subjugation. It's just the face of the tyrant has changed. Now when Simba comes back several years later as a grown lion to take the throne, he's been through a journey, he's been through a lot. He's actually been raised by two members of the animal peasantry. And in fact, I believe these lowly peasants, Timon and Pumbaa, had a plan. They realized when they found him that this little lion was of royal blood, and they decided to teach him the ways of peace. They raised him to eat bugs instead of other animals, and so their plan must have been to fundamentally change Simba's outlook on life so that when he did return and take the throne, he could potentially change the way of the life of the savannah as a whole. I mean, no more mandatory sacrifices, the lions would all just learn to eat bugs, and everybody would live in peace and happiness. With the new king having spent time amongst the peasantry in hiding, he would have the perspective to enact new legislation, maybe even abolish the monarchy entirely. But no. Simba returns and claims the throne to lead as yet another cruel and heartless king. As can be seen in the sequel films, I assume, I never saw them, I don't think anybody's ever seen them, so just take my word for it. As can be seen in the sequel films, the hierarchical structure remains intact. Apparently Simba has changed nothing that his father put into place, and the cycle of cruelty and oppression continues. So after all that, don't you see that it's time for the animal peasantry to rise up? To rise up and retake their independence from the Lion King? As many other groups and societies before them, they must throw off their chains and topple the monarchy. Rhinos, antelopes, meerkats, cranes, elephants, storks, giraffes, zebras, weird little bluebirds, and even the damn ants. It is time to rise up. Together, you are strong. You outnumber the lions by hundreds. You must drag Simba, screaming in agony, off of Pride Rock, down to the depths of the watering hole, and trample him and his lords to death in a stampede of freedom and justice. Tear Simba's head, his mane, right off of his rotting corpse, impale it on a spike, and dig it deep into the mud as a message that you do not accept tyranny here. Only then will the watering hole be a place of peace and tranquility. Good night. Whoa. Did I look cool? Please tell me I look cool. Please, please.